Hey, hi Pam.
Hey, Loretta.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I just came back from having a massage, so I'm
I'm
laid back.
Are we the only two on?
So far, it just occurred to me, Steve and Gwen and Christine, I think, are the only two people who hopefully will be here. And
right, because Bill and Stephanie are still gone, right?
Right, and so isn't Janet.
Okay.
It just, as I was setting up, I was just like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know how many people are going to be here. And, oh, well, here's Gwen. So that's good.
Hi, Gwen.
And we're supposed to have a guest, Emily. So hopefully she'll click on in a few minutes. Oh, it's not quite 7 yet. So.
Right.
So today was a gorgeous day.
Oh, God, it was beautiful. But I like the cold weather. So I'm the weirdo.
No, I don't. I like fall. Gwen, we can't hear you. You're muted.
I like cold weather too.
Oh, good, Gwen. I'm not the only one.
Oh, love it. I used to live in Vermont and loved winter.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The more snow, the better.
Yeah.
But you can't swim in the winter, Gwen.
I know. So I learned to like summer. I don't like the heat, but I like being in the water. But every season is wonderful. That's what I love. The 4 seasons here. I could never live down south.
Oh God, no.
Welcome,
no.
Emily. Everybody's just signing on. So.
Hello.
Hi.
We were just talking about 3 of our members are on vacation, so they won't be here. But Christine is just getting on, and the only other person that might be here is Steve. So we're hoping. Hi, Christine.
Hiya.
We have a guest today. Emily is going to talk with us about her work and what she's doing, and I think it will be quite exciting for everybody to hear. I know I was quite excited to hear what she was doing, and we'll just wait another 2 minutes, and then if Steve doesn't come, we'll just start. And we'll see what happens.
Okie dokie.
All right. I'm a little laid back tonight. I might be a little slower on the uptake because I just came from getting a massage. So I'm a little slow down and
I'm basically falling asleep. So
I'm with you, Christine. I'm exhausted.
Me too. I was up all night reading a book last night.
Oh,
I just got home from work, so I might fall asleep.
Sorry. Oh, Emily, I'm sorry. We're all
Emily, if we fall asleep,
lazy.
just wake us up. You have our names right there. So just yell at us to wake up and get going here.
Oh, don't worry. I'm right on board with being tired.
Oh.
Oh boy.
I got my booster.
Oh, good. I got mine
a couple
Thursday.
weeks ago.
I got mine Friday and only had 1 day of feeling a little blah.
Really?
Way better than the other ones.
Good.
Yeah, I just only had a tiny sore arm, and that was it. But it was the first time I've gotten a vaccination or any shot that the person who administered it said, put your hand down. So I was sitting on a chair with armrests, and she said, put it underneath there. So my arm was hanging down, and I had very little soreness, and it really, I guess your arm is looser when it's hanging down. So from now on, when I get any shots, I'm just going to say, I'm going to put my hand down, please. I don't know. Has that ever happened to anybody else who's gotten vaccinations?
Yeah, they had told me to put my arm down also.
Oh, good. Maybe it's a new thing, Pam.
Mine were down, but it just sort of happened that way. Nobody told me anything.
Huh. Wow.
No, I never had that down. So maybe that's why I always had side effects.
Well, try it and see.
Yeah.
So I see Steve is here. I don't see him, but I see his name. So he must be on.
I'm trying
Oh,
to get
there
my
he is.
camera to work.
Okay.
Who got the agenda?
All right. Okay. So those of you who have the agenda, well, I think everybody who got the link have the agenda on it. So what I had said to Emily that we can start with her first, so that she can leave if she wants to. But let me just say to start that I had spent some time talking with Emily because I talked with Joshua's Trust, and Michael said that they were doing a study on looking at seniors and hiking trails, et cetera, et cetera. And so I had said to Michael, well, our Conservation Commission has a lot of seniors on it. So if you want some information from us, you know, we would certainly be willing to participate. And so he passed on my name to Emily, and that's how we got in touch with Emily. And Emily is involved with the Connecticut Land Conservation Council, which some of you may or may not know about. And I'll just turn it over to her and let her tell you about what her work is and what she's interested in doing. And we can all give her feedback about how we want to participate and help her out. Okay, Emily, am I putting you on the spot right away? You're just getting right into it?
Yeah, I'll just jump right in.
All right, good. Hi, Steve.
Oh, there I am. Good.
Yeah, I'm just introducing Emily, who's with Connecticut Land Conservation Council.
I've heard all that.
Okay, all right. Okay, Emily, go ahead.
All right, so, my name's Emily Ritchie. I'm the Sandy Breslin Conservation Fellow at the Connecticut Land Conservation Council. And, I'm gonna be there for a year. And so CLCC is partnering up with Joshua's Land Trust and the Last Green Valley to host a accessibility evaluation on Joshua's Trust properties. So we have a couple organizations right now. So we have Chaplain Senior Center that we're kind of gathering volunteers from. So the point is that sometime in fall and very early winter, we don't want to go out when there's snow, when it's too cold out to be outside for a long period of time. So we're going to find a day and a location, preferably within the town where each organization is located. And we would go hiking through a particular trail with a staff member from CLCC, most likely me, and another staff member from the Last Green Valley. And throughout that hike, most likely we would have participants keep a notebook that we would provide them, or kind of keep notes as they go through the hiking trail with us. And then we're still finalizing how exactly the evaluation will be conducted, whether we're going to give out a survey through Google Forms, whether it's a physical copy or if it's a group discussion at the end. And we take down that data. Essentially is that, we want to go out to these properties and see where improvements can be made. How can we make these trails accessible to our veterans, to our senior community, whether it be, making trails with pavement, clearing out trees for more light access, signage, maybe pamphlets with trails on them. So there's a variety of points that we want to hit and make sure that, we're getting this feedback. And at the very end of this project, we'll be sharing this information with other land trusts so they can implement it and see where they can improve on their trails.
Cool.
So I'm kind of
interesting project.
Sounds very necessary with an aging population in the state.
Because project, even my own. Oh, what's that?
Oh no, I was going to say. So you're targeting seniors, is that right?
Yeah, seniors and veterans.
And veterans, yeah. Okay, I thought I heard that.
And then I believe from what Michael told me is that after all the evaluations and everything, then they will get some grant funding to make some of these changes that have been recommended. Is that right? Is that following through with what Emily?
I did hear about that. There would be grant funding to Joshua's Trust and probably to other land trusts to implement these changes. Each land trust has their own timeline on how they're going to do or which property they're going to focus on. But that is definitely part of the project. That is the main goal.
Yeah, and one of the things that's true in Ashford is we do have a lot of Joshua's Trust properties here in Ashford. So some of them are not the largest properties, but we certainly have a lot of them. So there's certainly, you can pick a trail here when you come to doing Ashford, if you're interested in doing Ashford in the future. Yeah.
So the Ashford Senior Center is one of the organizations that we're contacting,
Mm-hmm.
and we're finalizing I think with the first councilman or selectman that's in charge of the senior center there with I forgot her name, but
well, Kit Ives is in charge. I don't know if you hadn't really been in touch with her when we talked, and maybe you haven't gotten in touch with her yet. I don't know.
Yeah, I called her earlier this week. She was on board with it, and I think she just needed to get the okay from someone higher up than her. But
from the selectman, probably from our first selectman, Bill Folletti. Yeah.
So I reached out to him. I'm probably going to call him tomorrow, just to make sure that he's on the same page and hopefully get it going.
Yeah. So your plan is to have her round up some seniors to do the walk kind of thing, or talk with her about what she thinks, or?
So at this point, we're going to be starting gathering a list of participants. So the organization would, have a list. They would probably reach out to members, and then they would keep that list. And once we finalize a location and time, we're going to coordinate with the organization and the Last Green Valley to, okay, so Saturday, 10 o'clock, we're going to go here, and then we'll reach out an email and make sure that everyone's there, and then start the evaluation and hike.
I think you need to start with a really easy trail first.
Yeah, so depending on how many participants we get, we might do 2 different properties and split the group in half, or focus on one property and just have a morning session and then an afternoon session.
How long are you planning on, like an hour walk, a 2-hour walk, a half-hour walk, or haven't you gotten that far yet?
So I'm planning on maybe minimum 30 minutes to an hour. Kind of have that good balance between, medium-sized walk, depending on how the trail is, maybe, plug in time for breaks, to look around, to take notes. And it would also include the evaluation time that we would have.
And you're defining seniors by age? You have a bottom line, or is it over 50, over 60, over 70, or?
So I haven't yet been able to get in touch with Mike yet on that, on the logistics, but I think minimum, maybe 60 would be where we would start at. And definitely would look into, people's different, if they need a wheelchair, if they have a cane, we would definitely go into that and then relay that information back to the organizations so they can gather people and, just the properties if we're able to have them participate.
And you're also looking at disabled people, because you're mentioning veterans?
Yes.
Whether or not they can do the trail?
Yeah, so with veterans, there's definitely, that age range from people in their 20s to all the way to, veterans that have been serving for a long time. So we definitely want to have a pretty good mix if we're able to separate them to age groups, based on who's participating, then, that'd probably be a really good form of data that would have. Yeah. But definitely the veterans, we kind of want to focus in on the more senior members.
And inadvertently, you're also helping disabled people in other categories.
Yes. So I think with one of my when I was talking to Kit, we actually talked about whether they're hard of hearing, the sight, how much light there's going to be, how ways we can improve beyond just, having a path is walkable. So definitely looking into those different abilities as well.
That's you might invest in some walking sticks to have with you.
Because I think the Last Green Valley definitely has a lot of like walking sticks, flashlight, any kind of hiking gear that would probably help us throughout it.
Yeah.
So definitely invest in that.
Is there another theme to your walk, like, or is it simply to get exercise? You know, for instance, are you focusing on plant life or wildlife or scenic beauty, or I know accessibility is a, you know, limiting factor, but how do you make the walk interesting for people?
So we definitely want to have, you know, both aspects of people and actually enjoying the hike, you know, feeling that it was worth their time to go out and be outside with nature and their friends and etc. So we definitely want to we're definitely going to look into properties that offer that aspect, you know, lots of trees, lots of fall, you know, plants that are out there. Maybe there's some birding spots, you know,
Water.
we definitely water, the scenic routes. We definitely want people to be able to say like, oh, I know this spot now, maybe I can come here later at a different date.
This is like benefits of forest bathing.
We can definitely include that as a little side note, like, hey guys, there's forest bathing. Yeah, so definitely want to hit on a couple of different things.
Maybe I missed it, but are you targeting primarily land trust property or town properties or both?
So CLCC primarily works with land trust. So
Okay.
we reach out to Joshua's Trust, you know, they reach out to us as well, you know, to have these evaluations done. But definitely, I'm pretty sure there are ways that town properties, you know, even conservation commissions who are stewarding these properties as well can get involved into this. I know there's a specific grant program that we're providing, because as we reach out to these organizations, we're giving them $500 for their participation in this project.
Cool.
Ashford Memorial Park kind of is an easy trail. You know, there's it's actually paved too, to a degree. And then of course there's a pathway that's a little more challenging too. So our own properties our other ones are a bit more challenging, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of property in Ashford because Ashford is kind of a hilly place anyway, so that there's not a lot of just flat level walks in Ashford. Even the Joshua's Trust properties, there's not a lot of level walking on them, to my knowledge.
Yeah, and there's a problem with the rocks. You have to
And
try to
roots.
go around so some people don't trip, people with limited vision don't fall. And then we've actually created openings and stone walls for elderly people so they don't have to step over, you know, climb too high over things.
Yeah, rocks and roots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New England.
Yeah, and the other thing that since you're doing this in the fall, Emily, it's important to look at the moisture level because the leaves, there's oftentimes a lot of leaves on the trail and the leaves can be wet and slippery.
Yeah.
So that's just, you know, I think informing people before you start to be cautious about all that. So that may really be helpful.
Yeah, so what I'm planning to do is that once we, you know, finalize a spot, I'm CLCC and I will be going out to these properties. And what I'm planning to do is that I'll create a PDF with pictures of the trail, you know, with each landmarks, and, you know, provide a small brief description. Oh, there's a hill here, it's rocky, you know, low light, etc. So people, when they choose, you know, they're able to go at the time, you know, they have knowledge ahead of time of how exactly, you know, they need to prepare, what gear we might have for them, and, you know, provide a map for them, you know, just to look over, you know, just to have that clarity for them.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well,
so what's your timeline for getting this going?
So at the moment, so just the Chaplain Senior Center as an example. So at the end of September, first week of October, they're going to be sending out a newsletter to their community of seniors with a blurb from us and for them to contact the senior center to get on the list for us to, you know, bring out information. So we're hoping that probably by mid-October, we would have a location and time down for them to visit these trails with us.
So you're thinking of having a meeting at the senior center that people would come to learn about it? Is that what you're saying?
So CLCC Green Valley would have a meeting with the director or the person in charge of the senior center, but we would definitely be open to, you know, going to the senior center there, you know, be more accessible to them, answer any questions, you know, do a brief presentation for them.
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, if you're going to just rely on people like saying, I want to do this, I think that probably won't work as well as if you have a meeting that people are invited to.
Yeah. But definitely keep that in mind, because I definitely, you know, I want to answer questions, be accessible to people.
Right.
The other thing about Ashford, Emily, is we do have senior housing, which is right across the street from the senior center. And so it might be helpful to, and Kit knows that too, but to make sure that she's been in contact with Jessica Miller, who's the director there, so that anyone who was interested, and some of the people are interested because they've talked to me about a trail that we've just finished building right next to senior housing, but it's very steep. And so they've asked about, you know, how is it to walk it and all that. And we've been very clear that there's, you know, it's a challenging walk. I mean, it's just not like walking around on pavement. So, but that might be another, you know, group so that you could pull from. Go ahead.
I do want to extend this invitation, you know, for you guys to also be participants in this project. You know, I would love the insight that you would have, especially this is the Conservation Commission. So I would love for that to happen as well.
Yeah, I'd like to do it, but it will have to be an easy one.
Most of us are qualified.
I'd like to do it, but I work some Saturdays. Sundays I would be able to do it, but, you know, hit or miss on a Saturday if I have to work that day.
Well, Emily, maybe one of the things that you could do is just let us know when you're dealing with Ashford. I know you said you got Chaplain you're going to do first or whatever. When you are ready or are in the process of setting something up, maybe you can just email me or something so that I know when it is and I can pass it on to anybody who might be interested in participating.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I think it's a great project, and you know, I think it seems to me in Ashford in particular, we do have a lot of seniors, and a lot of those seniors are pretty active, and some are not, but some with a little nudge could be a little bit more active.
Get off your ass.
I think it's great that you're doing this. Before, the closest thing I ever heard to this was when Charlotte Pyle came to help us figure out grade. When we were making a trail, Langhammer, she told us not to make it steeper than whatever it was, certain percent grade. And so we made it longer and curved around, and we did certain things so it wouldn't be too steep. And we weren't really targeting seniors, but just we wanted people to use the trail and have it not be too difficult, too dangerous.
No, yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into trail design. It's a lot of just considering. Oh, excuse me for a second. So sorry about that.
Okay.
But yeah, but you know, I would love to have your participation in the project, and you know, definitely giving you guys an updates on when we have location, and definitely passing on that info to you.
Cool.
Right. Good. All right.
my email into the chat really quick, just see if you guys any questions, or I could definitely answer them and pass that on.
Perfect.
What's your background?
Oh, what was that?
What's your background?
Oh, I live in our finished basement, so it's a
No.
Background schooling, your
Yeah.
education.
I'm not that nosy. I'm nosy in a different way.
I get a lot of questions like, where are you now? I'm like,
Where
I'm
are
in my basement. So right now I'm doing a master's in public administration at UConn Hartford.
Okay. Public administration, interesting.
Yeah, so definitely want to go into like the environmental nonprofit sector. So I'm definitely in a place where I feel fulfilled and happy to communicate with like conservation commissions, different organizations, like on the ground.
Yeah. Cool. Not only, I mean, our whole town, all the commissions are filled with seniors. So, I'm thinking of all the commissions and they're all about our age, huh?
So part of that is a lot of people who are retired
have time to do
when
that.
they retired, they have the time,
Right.
But now we get 80-year-olds all the time on a lot of our walks. Matter of fact, one of the chairs of our Walking for Exercise group is just turning 80. And she's the leader. She's out with her walking pole, and she is marching on.
Wait, what group are you talking about?
Yukon League Walking for Exercise. But we do a lot of hikes in Ashford and the region.
So Emily, do you know about that group?
No, but I would definitely love to learn more about them.
There you go.
Was it the Yukon walking group, or
it's the Yukon League, and they have 12 special interest groups, one of which is Walking for Exercise, and it's very democratic. There's probably 50 or 60 people on the email list, but at any one time, last time I went a few weeks ago, it was like 24 people showed up, and each time a different person leads. So Gloria is the head, and she's turning 80, and she led the first walk. And sometimes it's a dirt road, sometimes it's a trail, and then you have to be very careful to word it if it's a rough trail so that people bring their poles. You have to say moderate. But we have, and then in the winter when it's icy, we will walk on the pavement. I walk on the sidewalks at UConn.
Okay.
I mean, that's just
it might be so. It might be interesting for you to join that group's walks, Emily.
Well, I'll definitely check them out. Reach out, be like, hey, introduce myself. See where I can with them as well.
It's a wonderful group. Been there for like 9 years.
Do you have contact info for her, Gwen?
I certainly do. Yeah, on the board.
So can you give it to her?
Yeah. Is your email on this list?
She just put her email on the chat.
Put it in the chat.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I have it right now on the Mansfield patch. I've posted, we need new members, and I have contacts right there. Membership, Sandy Ferguson's email address. If you just go to the Mansfield patch, it says inviting, we would like diverse new members. Almost everybody there is a senior though. I really, the huge percent of people are 70s and 80s, and you don't even know it. Like they seem so young because they walk all the time.
Yeah, like trails are crucial for health, just for, people seeing value in their town, conservation, habitat, etc. Especially now with like climate change and sustainability. They're so like vital to towns now.
Yeah, you should have been at one of our last meetings.
Yeah, well, it's good to see young people also interested and also open to looking at all different populations, including seniors, because sometimes seniors get pushed out of the mix of things. So it's good to see that, and it's encouraging and exciting. So I applaud you. I think it's a really good program, and it's exciting that you're doing this and reaching out. My guess would be you sort of really want a mixed group of people there. Some people who are not likely to be hiking, some people who consider them like that are part of the Yukon Hiking League or something. And then people who just, like I said, need a little encouragement to just go out and take a short walk. It doesn't need to be, you know, an all-day hike or anything like that. So hopefully if you can get a mixture of people on each walk, you'll get a variety of information and feedback from people.
Yeah, because, you know, those who might not often or even just think of like going for a hike or anything, you know, why, like what barriers are there? What would make them interested? Would, you know, better access information, like a website, QR code, you know, what's the best way to reach them for that stuff? Whether it be mail or like, you know, or an email, digital. I want to look into that.
Well, great. Well, I appreciate your coming and sharing your information with us, and hopefully you might see some of us on the hikes with you in the future. But if you want any more information, you know, you can always, you have my email, you can always email me and ask or whatever if you're having any difficulties, because we're in contact with a lot of people in Ashford. So
I definitely I'm thankful for, you know, being invited here, you know, to tell you guys about the project. So.
All right.
Good. Good luck. We'll see you.
I posted the link right there. Gloria's email address of the Yukon League, the Walking for Exercise Special Interest Group.
Little glowworm. Cute.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just checking my email here, littleglowworm1@gmail.com. But there's little dots there between little and glow and worm. I mean, yeah. Little.
Cute.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Emily. So let's continue on and go back to the top of the agenda, the old business. And for the farmers market, just to let everybody know that the farmers market probably is going to stop at the end of October this year. And we're not sure about whether Julie's going to continue as the market master for next year. So that's kind of up in the air. It's been a pretty good year. And even though it was a drought, it seems like people did certainly okay, considering all that. And I know last week they were starting to do the winter squashes and stuff. So that was really fun to see that. And our fruit vendor, I don't know how much longer she's going to stay, but she usually stops before the end of September, but she was there last week. It may have been her last week, but that was good to see. And apparently one of the things that happens with the drought is you get the fruit is bye-bye. The fruit is smaller, but it's sweeter. So that's just information. So if you go pick apples and you say, well, these apples aren't so good, they're small, well, they're really tasty. So just pass on that little bit of information. And then Steve had sent an email about our Cattle Rock hearing, which was a couple of weeks ago. And I think the Conservation Commission was probably the only group who really had a well thought out proposal to present to everyone there. And it was a joint meeting with Willington and Willington select people and Ashford select people. So it was an interesting back and forth, but I don't think there were very many Willington people there. But part of that could have been that people were more focused on the whole warehouse thing that did get voted down, or that the planning and zoning voted against it. So I think Willington is probably pretty thrilled with that, because there were a lot of concerns. And I think Willington as a town does a good job of getting people out and turning things around, or at least letting the select people know what they want and what they don't want and what's tolerable and what's not. So that was pretty good. But I was talking to one of our farmers, Jackie, who she's in Willow Valley Farm, right in Willington. And she said, well, Ashford better watch out, because they may be knocking on Ashford's doors
Yep.
next because they're looking around
Yep.
all these small towns and thinking they're offering them a good tax deal and
Yep.
that people will bite at it. But she said the one good thing you have is you have all the notes and minutes from the planning and zoning in Wellington, so you can use our research and expertise. So that was a good little tip to pass on. But anyway, I think, Steve, you listened to the follow-up meeting, which essentially was the select people getting together and talking about what they were going to put into the proposal, because the draft was due this past Friday, the 23rd, to the state asking for further remediation. We had in the past, we had a grant, and then last year the grant was denied. And most of the people felt the grant was denied because at that point it wasn't clear whether or not we really owned the property. So now that we do own the property, it becomes a whole different situation. So many of the people are quite interested in thinking that we'll have a really good chance. Big thing being it's two towns working together, and the grant people like that kind of thing. And also the town attorney requested that we get something in writing from Mark Ashton about what the management plan would be. And he was very gracious, wrote it up right away, a quick paragraph, and I sent it on. So that is included also. And the attorney felt it didn't matter when it happened, as long as we had a date, which is next fall, that it should add to the viability of the grant.
Yeah.
So that's the background. And then I guess, Steve, you listened to that meeting with the selectmen and had some thoughts about it, or just, wanted to have you share your feedback and anyone else's feedback on all this.
Yeah, I did listen. Does anyone know, is the town attorney the woman that?
Yes, Anne.
Anne, okay. I was trying to figure out her role, because it seemed to me, at least in the beginning, that she was very
Development
and development in the sense of let's do something with the land. But later on, I thought she was, she took our plan into consideration, or our proposal, and I think she focused more on that. In the beginning, I was a little worried that they were just trying to find a use for, some kind of commercial development or something, but they seem pretty open-minded. I think my impression was that everyone wants some sort of professional assessment of the property.
planner.
Yeah, a planner. And I think one of the big things is, and I think Bill Folletti mentioned it, that, the wetlands need to be
Mapped.
marked. I think they call it demarking.
They said map, didn't they?
Yeah, whatever they said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically,
But they sort of are. That was so strange, as they sort of are already.
well, no, if you've listened to any, yes, there are statewide aerial maps of the wetlands. Those are not considered very precise.
Okay.
So if you're doing any kind of development, then you would have a soil scientist go out there and actually, delineate the wetlands. And there are rules. You can't build without a special permit within 100 feet of the wetlands. Add 100 feet to the perimeter of all the wetlands, and suddenly
You got nothing.
no land to be developed there.
Right.
So Anyway, yeah, there were some people think that, they need to get money back from it, or they'd like to. I'm not, I'm not too optimistic that there's much revenue there, but that's my own impression. Um, I talked to Charlie at the dump, transfer station, sorry. Um, he, he abuts the north side of the property, on the Ashford parcel. And, you know, and I've walked the Blue Trail there. It goes, I mean, you're looking right in his backyard. It's a little, he'd like to have it moved back so that, people walking the trail aren't kind of looking in his backyard. And he said his dog goes chasing people, that walk the trail, and he follows them, and pretty soon he's trying to figure out where his dog went, so it's kind of an annoyance for him. But he knows the property really well too. We talked about some of the features, and including the pond where it's awfully clear, and where there are never any turtles or frogs, and just how odd that place is. He grew up there, and so he's seen it. I think his dad actually may have had something to do with getting the whole review process started. So anyway, yeah, my impression is, they're going to submit it, but some open questions are, well, what if they don't get the grant? I don't think anybody ever said anything about that. Would that mean they would proceed anyway? $300,000 isn't a lot of money. And I thought I heard that they'd set aside some money also. It depends on how anxious they are to get something going there, I guess. But if they don't get the grant, I wonder how optimistic they would be thereafter that they would get any money for a grant.
Well, I also think that there is still some monies from the American Rescue Plan.
Right.
And for instance, if the thinking was to really beef up some of those areas with the unimproved roads and make a couple of trails, that there would probably be funding in that ARC funding to do that, because I don't think we're talking about a lot of money, because part of those things are already in place. So that might be something that we could mention to, I think they're going to hear the end of December.
Yes.
Whether or not they got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once that gets decided and figured out, I think it would be important for us to go to a Board of Selectmen meeting and say, what about the rest of those funds? What's left? And could we do something like that, and put in a couple of trails just to see how it goes? And then I think after the evaluation by Yale Forest, we will have a really good idea of that property, and that can be used really to show people there's not a lot of easy land that can be, people just go, oh, 300 acres,
Yeah.
we can do so much. And yes, in certain 300 acres, but not that. And you've also got protection of the Nipmuc Trail on the Willington side. So when you really sort it all out and you look at all the water, I was impressed when you said, Steve, after a 6-week drought, there was still water on that property. That tells me that that's pretty severe wetlands, if you ask me, So I think a lot of people who have come up with ideas for this property don't really have a clear understanding of what the property is really like. And some of the people who do are not jumping all over saying, well, let's do this and let's do that. And I think I was a little surprised that people weren't talking about agriculture there.
Yeah, there was no ag. That blew me away because the Ag Commission had talked about wanting to do so. Well, Luther does anyway, but there was no mention of that, which was interesting.
Yeah, and I think, yes, Gwen?
I'm on Our Town, Our Future. We're meeting Monday, and this has been a topic that has come up, and we're trying to figure out how much to get involved. And I wanted to ask Steve if he had any suggestions on how we could be helpful or to facilitate whatever, or not. Maybe step back and maybe it's not our jurisdiction, and maybe we have to wait until the selectmen have made a decision before we should get involved.
Who's we?
Our Town, Our Future picks topics that we think that are of importance to the citizens of the town, topics to work on. But we're having a leadership meeting in a couple of months, and we've decided not to. It's too soon to bring this up because we don't want to have like people fighting the economic people, and because it's just too early. And but when there was a clearer plan, do you see something for us to do? You see this being under the jurisdiction of Our Town, Our Future?
I don't really feel qualified to say anything about that. It's Mike. Mike is the chair, right? Or
yeah, but everybody disagrees. I mean, there's people who said we should work on it. People say we shouldn't. This is an important topic for our town. We can't ignore it. And I think he's afraid to, at this point, to make a stand until we know where the select people stand.
Well, that's true for just about everything, every aspect of developing the property, whether it's passive or active. There's a lot of unknowns. There's still apparently some waste that needs
some remediation, right?
Remediated. So, and then without knowing, proper wetlands and topology, etc. There's a lot of education. People need to understand the property better, I think. Well, I think we tried to show them that, but it's like everybody said, they hear 350 acres, they think, oh, it's not wet. We can put something there.
So it's not the time to get input from the various committees until we get more information.
Well, that's what the last hearing was for was to get input from everybody. So I'm sort of surprised that you guys weren't part of that hearing. But
well, Mike did say that he felt it should be a master plan.
Right.
Yeah.
But what it seems to me that it's a question of waiting now to see if we get the grant.
Right.
If the grant comes through, my sense would be that, and from what I've heard the board of selectmen saying, is they'll have another meeting hearing and getting more input. And I think they may likely come up with setting up some sort of a study committee of sorts to look at all the different angles. Like some people have said, well, our particular plan could fit very well with like a space for a solar farm or something, and that there could be room for a couple of uses rather than just one total use, and it wouldn't necessarily interfere. But I think most of the people who are thinking about all this are thinking this is going to be a long-term project. This is not a project that's going to get decided upon in 1 year or even 2 years. And I think they've been talking about this property for a long time already. So I don't see it happening fast. And I think people who have creative ideas have to speak up and say what they think and why they think what they think. And I think that's where Steve did a really good job for us of coming up with the reasons why we said all this. And I didn't get a sense of anyone negating what we had said at that meeting. So I think right now it's looking pretty good to have at least a part of that stay the way it is and us work on more and more passive recreation. Kind of like, I'm thinking like a different but similar thing happened with Langhammer, that the selectmen wanted to sell the land, and several people got together and had people sign petitions, like Gwen was one of them, and people who lived around there said, no, we want this is open space. We want it to stay the way it is. It's right next to Ruby Fenton, which is a great, huge area. Like, why would we do anything with this property? You know, it's in a perfect location. It has waterfall on it. It has a lot of bird life. It has a lot of animal life. There's deer there. There's an abundance of mountain laurel. It's a great showcase. And enough people came out at that meeting, and we said all the reasons very similar to what Steve came up with and what we had helped him come up with. I mean, he was just reflecting what we all came up with at our prior Conservation Commission meeting. And I think people really like that, just as with Langhammer. The proposal to sell it went by the boards, and it stayed open space, and we put a trail there. So I think a similar kind of thing can happen about if we, you know, maybe talk with the lawyer about what would be the liability factors involved if we set up something. You know, this would be, I think this would be after, if the grant goes through, because there still needs to be things going on there, right, in terms of ensuring that the property is not toxic.
Right.
After that, if we look at, you know, revisit that and say, can we put in a short trail and see how that goes? Work with Willington on that, or work with Connecticut Forests and Parks. I mean, there was a woman from Connecticut Forests and Parks at the hearing, and you know, they're very willing to work with us, you know, and have a lot of experience with trails and everything. So, I mean, just as Willington helped us when we were doing Langhammer, they came and said, hey, wait a minute, you know, why don't we just extend it this way? And then it would be an easier trail without a steep slope. It'd be a little bit longer, but it'd be easier to negotiate. So I think we have the people around to help do that, and people who are knowledgeable. And a lot of people, you know, including some of us, have had experience building trails. So I don't know that that would be the hard part. I think the hard part is to look at how is there going to be some sort of a compromise here, so people are not coming away with a negative feeling about passive recreation and nature trails and nature centers and recreational education and stuff like that. Yeah, Christine.
I think one of the things that we need to focus more on after the grant, I think we wait till the grant, we hear about the grant, and then presumably there's another hearing, and that's when we go in and reaffirm what we might think could be done. And I think also be even more assertive about sort of unintended consequences that give value. For example, tourism. For example, you know, going to lunch at Wooden Spoon, you know, like the kinds of things that economic development is interested in, just bringing people here to see, you know, to be tourists, to see Ashford. So I think, you know, we can put more emphasis on that and maybe diffuse a little bit the, we got to make some money off this thing.
Didn't we have a Christmas barn there by the side of the road And couldn't, this was so long ago, but could you eat there? Was there a little restaurant too?
Yeah, there was the wagon shed. That's who polluted it.
Oh, no. So it's not a good idea to have something there by the road. There, it wouldn't be good, like a septic. If there was or like a restaurant or something that would pay taxes, but all the rest of it could be more environmental.
Well,
Yeah, depending on wetlands.
yeah, the wetlands are way more prevalent than you might think. And what was there before was a farm that, an old farm with barns that was converted into a restaurant and gift shop and like you said, Christmas place. I'd been in there a few times, more than a few times, I think. But
me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, things have changed. And
but was it legal before? Was the bathroom and this and that? Did it cause a problem? Was it right on top of the wetlands in that one spot?
Well, this is the 70s, Gwen. And, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think any of us remember.
It was the 80s.
Well.
It was the 80s.
No, it was the 70s. I got here in 74 and I remember going to the wagon shed right then.
I went all the time and I came here in 82 and my parents would come up from New York to go to it. And buy Christmas.
It was still there in 87 because I moved in. I actually went there twice. So yeah, but that was before any remediation was done. And there were both federal and state remediation. So at that point, I don't know if people had any awareness of the degree of pollution in that whole area. So there's a whole history, and maybe as we're talking, it might be, you know, really good for us to invite some of the economic people, our town, our future people, to one of our meetings to just discuss, you know, what are their thoughts? I know Margie has some strong thoughts about wanting it to be, you know, some sort of commercial property or something. Right. And, you know, I don't know who else has really thought a lot about or wanting things, but we could certainly invite a couple of people from our town, our future, and a couple of people from economic development. I think there are some similar people on both committees right now.
I think a walk on the site would be
informative,
beneficial especially for anybody who thinks development is
right.
viable.
But we can't do that walk unless we got permission.
Of course not. No.
You know,
but
all of that could be something down the road that we could do in terms of, first of all, reaching out and saying that we want to work with other people, you know, so that it's not us against them kind of thing. And sometimes that comes up, this whole, we're just want to have every tree in Ashford stand up. Well,
yeah,
I don't, you know, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, here are the tree huggers and here are the people who want, you know, our town to thrive, and that's economics. And, you know, somehow if we can work more towards balance, both of those things, I think we'd be in much better shape. So maybe this is an opportunity for us to come together with people who have similar interests, certainly go for a walk, sit down and talk and all that kind of stuff. But it seems like that's a little bit down the road, because I don't think we need to do anything right now, except wait and see what's going to go down.
Yeah.
And again, you know, thank you, Steve, for putting that whole thing together and having all those maps and everything. And I know a lot of times people will look at a map and they may not be able to understand what is on the map, but they're very impressed by the map.
Yeah, right. It wasn't that hard. Like I said, to back it up with a walk at some point, hugely important. And it, you know, we just need to get their permission and go out there, and then, you know, not try to sell it as, you know, wetlands. Just open your eyes and take a look, you know.
Right.
And do it in spring.
Educate people. That's what you're talking about.
And where it's not wet, it's steep. So, you know.
So if there's a trail, we need a lot of bridges, little boardwalks.
No, trails exist on.
They're logging roads.
Yeah, what I guess you'd call logging roads. They're access roads of some kind. Could have been access roads for polluting trucks, but whatever. They exist. They're wide. They could, you could walk 3 across on some of them, and so they're open lanes. So it certainly wouldn't take a lot of improvement to make them be viable trails. One other thing that came out of the selectmen meeting was Folletti was very clear that there will be no hunting on the property. And so that was interesting. I think there's.
But because of what?
Oh, well, there was a person lobbying.
Yeah, no, I know, but why did he say there will be none?
Well, there were a couple of concerns. Someone, and I think it was pointed out by Catherine that someone in the chat mentioned their son
being shot at. Yeah.
And
wow.
And threatened.
Yeah, and threatened.
Right.
By someone using the property there. So.
Yeah, I remember that from the chat.
Right. So.
Well, we have no hunting at Langhammer, and if you're going to have any kind of hiking trails, it's not a safe thing to mix.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. So
okay.
That kind of summarizes it, I think.
Good. And that is available on the website. You can go and Steve sent a link if you want to listen to that and update yourself. You can do that. I think it's about 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's not a very long meeting, so you might want to do that. The next thing on our agenda was just a report on the family day, and Pam and I sat in the hot sun. It was very hot that day, very hot. And we were in the middle of the fields. And we were trying to get people interested in trash.
You were trash talking.
Yeah, we
were talking trash. That's what Pam and I do. We get together, sit at the table, and talk trash.
It was fun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was interested in that the people who stopped told us how they are aware of trash and what they're doing. I thought that was interesting, and it said to me that, how do you reach people who are not even concerned about it? Because obviously there's a lot of people who are not concerned about it, but the people who stopped, said, where they were coming from with that. And one person stopped and said, yeah, we need to be concerned about this. And it was shocking to me because I didn't think this person would be saying that. So that was an interesting encounter for me of, sometimes you don't understand who are people in favor and who are people not in favor. And if you can reach people in terms of everybody likes the Ashford environment and they don't like to see trash along the highways. So if you can grab them on that level, and remember that little boy?
Oh, he was so cute. He was like totally fascinated with reading everything. Oh my goodness.
He was about 7 or 8, I think. 7 or 8 or 9, somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
And really, he was seriously reading all, because Pam has these great little posters and all this information. And he's just, first of all, I was impressed that, there's all this stuff going on. There's slides going on. There's magicians in the other area. And here's this little kid, he's reading all these things. You can see he's like, he's like digesting it.
Well, it's like he didn't want to leave.
I know.
Oh, did you sign him up for our
I
commission?
know we should have.
Maybe that was the kid that you took the picture of. No, he was a little bit too big for
Oh,
that.
it could have been. It could have been from the lake.
Yeah, but I think this kid was a little bit older. And then
Yeah,
I had my green parasol. And when I was leaving, I was bringing some stuff over to Pam to put in her car. And he looked at me and said, "I like your green parasol." Was such an unusual kid. I should have gotten his name because I don't know. I mean, he's really advanced.
A little savant, yes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But I think it really is an important thing to do. And there was a couple of people who did listen to my talking about how much of we have to pay for all this trash, and that is a huge cost to the town. And I think it's something sometimes that just go by people's mindset. And then when you start talking about it, here might be a way that, some of the expenses of the town could be decreased if people didn't throw everything away or throw things in the wrong container. Anyway, so I just, I think it's a good idea to continue to do it, even though they're not hordes of people around our table. But on the other hand, the pollinators pathway table did have a lot of people stopping by and asking and picking up. They had some plants there, they had some information, and Jennifer was really quite outspoken about saying, if you need help, just call us and we'll come out and evaluate, or we'll help you find pollinator plants. So I thought that was really good. And I was impressed with how many people in Ashford really want to do this and are doing it.
I was in Maine a week and a half, 2 weeks ago for 5 days. And I was driving through some kind of, upper scale towns, Round Pond, Damascotta, Wiscasset. And I was driving on side roads and beautiful houses, and they all had gorgeous houses and well kept and clearly money there, beautiful lawns and gardens. And I was astounded by the number of those houses that had manicured landscaping, had strips that had goldenrod and asters and weeds. Wow. Like on their roadside parts of their property or the edges of their property. It was pretty incredible. Wow. It clearly is something that had caught hold in a lot of these places up in Maine, where all these rich people have their little pollinator patches. And they were beautiful. They were just absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, that was really cool to see. So I think it's something that, people who have enough land to have their lawns and something else are perfectly capable of doing. So, it's cool.
Yeah, it's really a very good thing. And along with that, the other thing is that we have Trash Day coming up. Right, Pam?
I've got the snoring dog up here. Yes, we do. On the October 22nd, rain day, the 23rd, I posted once on Facebook. I will continue to post and do it more frequently as we get closer to the date. But I asked for business sponsors. We'll see what happens.
Did you talk with Tom King at all?
Something? He never got back to me last time.
And he probably won't this time, Pam, because I don't think they've had a meeting since COVID. And I think most of the businesses in town are trying to get by and reassess. Yep. I noticed that Wooden Spoon is closed Monday and Tuesday now.
Oh.
So, and wow. I hear that they're not doing well. And I don't know what's, as far as I know, Midway is still closed. I don't know if I know their wish was that soon they could do takeout, but I don't know what's happening there. So, yeah. And maybe, I don't know if Ian would want to join us again.
He normally will send me a text message if he's interested.
Okay.
I don't know if he has little ones in school yet or what's going on, but you know, he has stepped up. I think the past 3 events, I don't think we can expect him to do every single one.
No,
mean,
I don't think
it was
he should.
really great that he did,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I'll continue to ask for someone to come and help, because
Okay.
that's mainly what we need. We have enough supplies for right now.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens.
Christine, are you going to be around if it's a nice day on the 22nd?
And take pictures.
Take some
Yeah,
pictures.
let me see. Oh, pull up my calendar. Give me a second. Yeah. No.
No? Okay.
We'll get someone
We'll
too.
get someone, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gone all day, morning and afternoon.
Okay. Well, and it might rain, so it might be
If
the
it
23rd.
rains, I can do the 23rd.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and then it's the same deal of people can come and pick up some bags and vests and stuff and go out, and we can tell them where to go. They can use their own, do their own roads and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yep, we got plenty of supplies.
I still have gift cards to Dollar Store if we want
Oh, really?
to do that again. Somewhere. They're buried somewhere, but I have them. What did I have? Whatever I had before, I still have one less than I had. Because I gave that one to that little kid.
That was cool.
It was cool.
Yes.
That was great. He was quite thrilled.
He was absolutely thrilled. And he was thrilled to have his picture. And, you know, his mother was thrilled. It was cool.
Aw.
Good. All right. Well, that's all that I had this time around. And does anyone have anything else that they just want to put out? Okay.
I might say that I mowed my lawn in almost July for the first time, and it was really long. And as I was doing it, I did most of my front yard, but I didn't do part of it.
Yay!
And it's interesting. I really like the way it sort of came out, and I did the same thing in the backyard too. You know, it was pretty dry this year, so it kind of turned brown fairly early, but it's long. I think it looks attractive too, you know, but some people might disagree, you know.
Did you get goldenrod?
No, but I got asters and other things, you know. So but I have a very mossy yard, you know. It's not a great lawn, and it's shaded quite a bit anyway, but it grew to you know, 6-8 inches, and I just mowed a little path through it so my son could walk to the bus, which he never does. But so you know, on a positive note, and I mowed it once after that, just once, and I'll probably mow just before the leaves turn or something. But I have seen plenty of bees and you know, other things, and fungi growing too, you know. Although it hasn't been a great year for that because it's been so dry, but they did come in eventually. So it's kind of a positive thing, just to share my experience. You don't have to mow nearly as much as you might think. So
Yeah, you sound like us now. We have mostly shaded moss. And we don't mow too much because we're so far back, set back from the roads, no one sees it. Maybe your property's like that.
right.
Well, now the only thing anybody sees is white marshmallows, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
That's true, and it's gotten bigger.
I know. Every time I go through, it gets bigger. So, Steve, the thing about maybe you might consider not mowing one more time, because leaving stalks and letting leaves accumulate is good hiding places and nesting places for overwintering beneficial insects.
I did that last fall. I
Yeah.
I left a lot of leaves down, and
Yeah, but also the standing stalks.
right. Well, so what I noticed was the grass grew and then it seeded, and I thought, oh, this is great. Birds, lots of birds will come in for the seed.
Yeah.
And and whatever else. So yeah, and it even looks, the seed pods look attractive when they grow up. So it's nice.
It's cool. It's cool.
Thought I'd share that. That's all.
Yay! I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Well, it's a good thing. I don't know if anybody else has had a preponderance of rabbits this year.
I have a few.
No, we have more than a few, and we have had probably about 8 runs of rabbits, because it very rare do I go out and not see little tiny rabbits.
Oh wow!
And all the rabbits in Ashford landed on my, maybe because we left the back, we didn't mow at all. We just had a couple of little pathways there. I don't know if that was it or what, but I'm going to tell you, I've never seen so many rabbits, and usually we don't get many rabbits here, but for some reason, the rabbits abounded here. Rabbits and chipmunks, but everybody has chipmunks.
Do your cats go outside?
Well, the one cat we have right now does have a little runway. He has a little enclosure and a tent at the end, but he can't get out of that.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think the chipmunks kind of run around and scare him, and get him all hepped up, So that's their fun, I guess, for the. But no, I've never seen so many rabbits. I don't know. Maybe a rabbit predator was not around. In the beginning of the summer, there weren't a lot of owls that I heard. They're back now. I've heard a lot of barred owls. But in the beginning of the summer, no. So maybe that was it. I don't know. But there were a lot of rabbits.
Well, I was out with my chickens. I have to go out every day and sit with them. And there are chipmunks all over the place, and chipmunks in the barn, and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, there's a rat. There was a rat coming out of my barn and looking at me and chasing a chipmunk.
Ooh.
I totally freaked. Well, I have a squirrel trap, and I caught him. I brought him way up into Yale Forest. And I haven't seen another one, and I've set the trap again and haven't seen anything or trapped anything. So I don't know whether it came in on a truck or what, but then I asked Marion Matthews if she ever had rats in her barn, and she said yes.
Yes.
And she had to actually get an exterminator to come because they got into the house.
Oh,
I didn't even know we had rats around here.
How big was your rat?
Head to rump, maybe 6 inches, 7 inches, and a tail equally long.
Whoa.
Wow.
It was, I didn't know we had rats.
Wow. That's pretty big if the rat was chasing a chipmunk.
Yeah. People that have chickens can get rats. I have chickens. I don't think I have rats, but I have seen a rat, and down, I think at the farm, they must have rats too. So they're Norway rats.
Right.
There is a native species of rat, but they're quite rare, and I don't think they're in our area. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, this totally freaked me out. And I don't freak out about animals, but that totally freaked me out. I didn't know.
So this was not like your pet mouse. This was really big.
I have so many mice and I move them by, yeah, but
You know the difference between a rat and a
I
pet mouse, let me tell
totally
you.
know a difference between a rat and a mouse.
Mm.
No, I have pictures to prove it. I mean, it was a rat. But then I didn't know. I mean, Marianne said that she had a whole bunch of them and somebody had to come out and was trapping them or whatever.
Well, maybe the rats like the pollinators' gardens too.
Well, she had chickens, and then that's where the rat was.
Yeah, she
That
has
was
chickens
years ago.
too. Yeah, she has chickens too. She has chickens, goats, pigs. She has all
Yeah.
kinds of animals.
Yeah, I think when you have animals, it's easy to.
But where do
attract
they
them.
come from? I said, so where did it come from? She said they come from the ether.
They jump off the trucks, the garbage
jump off
trucks
the
that run
truck.
through town.
Oh man, really
Probably
freaky.
they came from Florida, probably to Santos Center.
Yeah,
Oh,
they came on a plane, right?
Oh, no.
Let's send this up to Christine. Keep her busy so she will stop opening her mouth.
Yeah, really. Oh, so I bought some flags. I got some American flags. They're only about, maybe 2 feet tall, the sticks. And so they're going right in the middle of my Democratic election signs in the front of the field. I'm taking the flag back. And I bought enough so that there are 2 other houses on Perry Hill Road that have a bunch of Democratic signs. And so I'm going to bring some by and ask if they want to put some out too. So
Well,
if anyone wants a flag, I'll donate a flag to you for your signs.
right. Well,
And
good,
then I'll get shot.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, really. Well,
Mm.
it's good that we're all doing the work we need to do. We just have to keep on going.
Ugh.
So, have a good fall. And we'll
Yeah.
see you in October, hopefully. Well, maybe we'll even see you at the trash day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, have a good rest of the evening, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.
You know,
Bye-bye.
Good
Bye.
night.